Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, self-thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangoes of South Florida. And today's date is Monday, November 13th, 2017. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And all our brothers and sisters that served as well. But that question remains. Are you proud to serve a republic or an empire? And the ones that are serving today as well should question that. And it's all in good faith, not badger you by any means. Yeah, so a few earthquakes, good amount of earthquakes happened around Iran, Iraq border, Turkey? Yeah, Turkey, Japan, New Zealand, and looks like 300 people died near Iran. It's a real shame. So we're always gonna keep your thoughts and prayers and respect Mother Nature while you can. Always pay attention to. Now with technology, we can focus on being better prepared. I'm not saying it's perfect. However, always gotta keep tabs, my friend. Live once, you value it, no matter where you're from. So, before I talk about my main topic, Justin Raimondo from Anti-War has for his readers, came out today. And it says here, I will survive with your help, so will antiwar.com. Dear readers, I write this under great duress and against my better judgment. It has never been my policy to mix my personal life and my writing professional life. This time, however, I don't see how I can avoid it. My regular readers will have noticed that I skipped more than a couple of columns recently with no explanation. Well, here's the explanation. I have been diagnosed with the late stage carcinoma cancer, and I am now undergoing experimental therapy with a new drug called Keytruda. Under normal circumstances, this diagnosis would be a death sentence. However, Keytruda, recently approved by the Food and Drug Administration for cases like mine, has proved to be a godsend for many patients previously thought hopeless. While the results are preliminary, they are hopeful. It looks like I have a key mutation that gives Keytruda one up on this terrible disease. And I have to say one thing that might sound a bit odd. I will survive this. I don't know why I have such certainty when it comes to this. Maybe I am in denial. All I know is that at the very core of my being, I know I'm going to come out on the other side of this hole and intact. As sick as I am, and there are some days when I cannot rise from my sick bed, I can't help but think that this illness is a temporary inconvenience that can and will be overcome. I have no doubt that someday I will be incapacitated and unable to write. However, I intend to write as much as I can, whenever I can. And rest assured that I am still playing a key role as editor-director of antiwar.com and will continue to do so. Which brings me to the point of this letter. We need your support, your financial support like never before. We are living, as the old Chinese proverb puts it, in some interesting times, an era awash in the risk of war, on every front, in every region of the world. The U.S. flag is planted firmly in the ground, and therein lies the potential for perpetual trouble. For over 20 years, we here at antiwar.com have been debunking the war party's lies. And let me tell you, it hasn't been easy. Today, it's especially hard with both parties geared up for military intervention in different parts of the world. The peace party has nearly dropped out of sight. Yet the American people are sick of perpetual war, and this becomes more obvious every day. You can bet your bottom dollar that no ordinary American citizen is out. They're agitating for yet another Middle Eastern conflict. And all of our grand delinquent commentators who think we're at war with Russia or ought to be, I have yet to see a single one of these warbirds enlist in the military as an example to others. Rumors of war, confirmation of my own health issues. I realize this letter is heavy lifting, but again, I want to impress upon you my central optimism, no matter what happens to me. Antiwar.com will continue, just as it always has, thanks to our hard-working and ever faithful staff. But we can't do it without your financial support. So please give us as much as you can, as soon as you can. And while I'm confident I'll come out just fine with my health issues, frankly, I am more worried about antiwar.com. But then again, it's always been the case. Every fundraiser makes me panic. Cancer, not so much. Please make your donation today. Sincerely, Justin Raimondo, editorial director of antiwar.com. P.S. And yes, your donation is tax deductible. I have to say this, my friends. He's absolutely correct. Bigger things are happening as we speak. And we gotta wish this brother well, and he'll beat this damn thing, this disease, and eviscerate it out of his soul and spirit and body. But for all you folks out there listening, please donate to this cause. This is a very good organization, and we do follow each other on Twitter. And I have to say, these guys are good. They have a lot of merit. To all you warmongering horror bags out there, you go on the front line. Let's see how tough you are, even to those bobbleheaded politicians, whether it's local, state, or federal. I don't want your kids over there. I want you. Let's see how tough you really are. I know one thing about Mr. Raimondo. I believe he will survive this. So please, folks, I recommend everyone donating for a good cause. So hope for the best for this man and for the antiwar.com organization, because like I said before, they are very good. I follow them proudly, and I do their stuff frequently too, but if I can on my podcast, because even people who serve in wars don't want to see it. They're not warmongering demonods. So please make this happen, okay, friends? And speaking of Roy Moore, on these interesting allegations, everyone calling him a piece of garbage, and I'm not going to be too keen with this man in a lot of areas. Yeah, like he has his pros and cons like everything else, but how accurate is these allegations towards Senator Moore? So, this came from Legal Insurrection, came out yesterday. Like late yesterday. It says here, why would the Senate invoke Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2 to expel Senator Roy Moore? It's posted by William A. Jacobson. It says here, let's hope more evidence come out that shed of light who is telling the truth, and that it comes out before the election. Excuse me, yeah? As it reads here, the allegations against Roy Moore, as detailed in the Washington Post story on November 9th, are serious and should be taken seriously because the allegations involve events from 40 years ago. There is a distinct possibility that voters may be skeptical enough of the allegations to elect Moore nonetheless. That could provide the Senate with the choice of invoking Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2 of the Constitution that gives each House of Congress to expel members. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, and that enough evidence emerges for the election to make clear who is and who is not telling the truth. The claims fall into two categories, one of which is criminal, the other of which is creepy but not criminal. The most serious accusation and the headline of the WAPO story concerns Moore alleged conduct when he was 32 years old towards and then 14-year-old girl identified as Lee Korfman, who was below the legal age of consent. That conduct is alleged by Korfman to have involved sexual contact which, because of her age, was illegal. It is a serious accusation that the Washington Post article treats seriously and in detail. The WAPO article, however, does not provide a lot of other contemporaneous confirming reporting, except that Korfman mentioned to two friends at the time she was seeing an older man identified as Moore. While Poe does not say that the allegations in the article about sexual conduct were mentioned to those three friends at the time. So one of them remembered Kaufman saying that Moore was in a tight white underwear, but Poe also said that Kaufman told her mother about the encounter and a decade later. The other corroborating reporting does not concern Kaufman directly, but focuses on three other teenagers. Moore allegedly dated when he was in his early 30s. Reporting is meant to establish a pattern that at least indirectly support Kaufman's account. Three women say that Moore dated them to varying degrees, and when they were between the age of 16 and 18, which was at or above the legal age of consent, there is no accusation of any type of sexual conduct of any relationship beyond kissing. It is creepy and rightly would enter into the equation of how a voter views a candidate, just as lawful sexual activities of candidates have been brought up in campaigns. But it wasn't illegal, and it's completely different category than the most serious accusation regarding a 14-year-old. Poe said it interviewed more than 30 people who said they knew Moore between 1977 and 1982 for the story, which is being taken by numerous Twitter pundits as being 30 people confirming the allegation of Kaufman, but that's not what Poe said. Moore adamantly denies the allegation regarding the 14-year-old. Here's a little fuzzy on the subject of having dated teenagers, but insists that nothing improper ever happened. The Walpole story ran just over a month before the December 12th special election, and just over a month after the deadline to change the ballot for the special election. The timing is being used by Moore as part of his response, arguing that it is all too suspicious that a 40-year-old accusation are being aired for the first time so close to the election. According to Poe, Moore's campaign asserted that if the allegations were true, they would have surfaced during his previous campaigns. I certainly could understand why a childhood victim of sexual assault would not go public with the accusations against a powerful politician. So while I understand why Moore would use the timing in his defense, it's not dispositive in my mind. The timing, nonetheless, is important because of the close proximity to the special election. It's too late for the Republican primary voters to change their minds, and certainly it would have been better if the allegations were made this year. The Walpole article does not say how Walpole found these specific women. It only said it heard general rumors while reporting a story in Alabama about supporters of Moore's Senate campaign. A Post reporter heard that Moore allegedly had sought relationships with teenage girls over the ensuing 3 weeks. So it's interesting here, about 3 weeks. The two Post reporters contacted and interviewed the four women. Alabama is a pretty big state. It will be interesting to know how Walpole identified four women out of millions for a story that has not been uncovered by any of Moore's many prior political components. Almost instantaneously after Walpole's story was published, there were demands that Moore step down from the race immediately, including John McCain, which we all know who is just another bend over Bob to New World Order, because he's a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, based solely on the Walpole article. The allegations against Roy Moore are deeply disturbing and disqualifying. He should immediately step aside and allow the people of Alabama to elect a candidate they can be proud of. Oh, ha 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 ha! And you, John McCain, the chosen one, the true patriot, true freedom-loving individual that upholds the Constitution, right? You're such a damn hypocrite. Go spread your butt cheeks to these oligarchs for all I care. And you should step down, sir. As senator, you should turn yourself in for treason, as far as I'm concerned. Your rhetoric is null and void. That's interesting because McCain himself was the subject of a detailed New York Times story during the 2008 election cycle about his extramarital affair. That would have been politically damaging. The stories turned out to be false. McCain needed the time to mount his response to the New York Times story, but did not want to give Moore any time to mount his response before demanding a withdrawal. Of course, because he's a bend over Bob and proud. Others similarly jumped forward with demands without giving the allegations and denials to play out. Mitt Romney, that he believed Korfman, but the only account so far of what Korfman says in the Whirlpool article. Innocent until proven guilty for criminal convictions, not elections. Flip-flop, Mitt Romney. Willard, right? I believe Lake Hoffman. Yeah, that's the power of vagina cloud judgment, right, chump? Her account is too serious to ignore. Moore is unfit for office and should step aside. But flip-flop Mitt Romney, he is Mr. Clean. He's a saint. And he loves freedom, right? He thinks the Federal Reserve is okay. But why should we have Congress control money? You see how they run amok. But the Federal Reserve is okay. Please, another jackass that talks out of his rear end. Webpo necessarily filtered the interview and said it's interviewed Kaufman 6 times for its reporting. I assume at some point between now and special election, Kaufman will appear on 60 Minutes or a similar program to tell her story. At the time, we'll hear her story, not just Webpo reporting on her story. I'm becoming more and more convinced that Twitter is poison hemlock and is already poisoned political culture. On Twitter, Democrats and journalists predictably are seizing on the Moore accusations. I don't blame them. The anti-Trump Republican conservatives are blaming Trump for the Moore nomination, even though Trump backed Luther Strange, and are generally falling all over themselves to the virtual signal of each other and to escalate Trump supporters. And this is Evan McMullen. Those backing Moore must now oppose him or bear responsibility for him. Oh, please. Look at these fools, man. Republican politicians fall into 2 categories. Moore should step down if the allegations are true, and Moore should step down regardless of whether the accusations are true because the accusations are serious. The seriousness of accusations rather than the evidence of the seriousness of accusations seems like an unsound basis to rule the will of the voters. If more evidence accumulates and if Moore does win the election, the Senate has wide discretion in expelling members. Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution provides that each House may determine the rules of its proceedings and punish its members for disorderly behavior and, with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. The Senate could hold proceedings in which testimony and other evidence is gathered and could reach determination. Let's hope it does not come to that. Let's hope that more evidence come out that shed a light on who is telling the truth, and that comes out before the election. You're absolutely right. But, you know, everyone loves to believe the post-fact world. Guilty to proven innocent. Allegations are legit without any merit. And, of course, you got these other stooges telling like it is, like they're unfit, but they're better. They're the chosen one. They are Mr. Freedom, Miss Freedom. Come on. Like I said, I could be critical of some of Moore's past actions, what I read so far. However, I'm not going to really jump the gun. Everyone's jumping on his high horse and climaxing, looking at face value, but not examining the fine print. There's one thing, my friends. We gotta look at things across the board. So this is just a claim, but it has to have facts. They could be on these TV shows all they want. It's like guilty to proven innocent. It reminds me of Charles Manson. When they all exploited him, oh, he's guilty of murder. And you have a fair trial, according to the Manson files. Regardless if you like Charles Manson or not. You gotta look at that. It's like the Charles Manson syndrome. That is the thing you should look at. So it's one of the things you have to really look at too, and that's why I tell everybody, man, always observe responsibly. Don't jump on the gun. Watch out for the exploited manifestation, etc. If you study the past, you understand where I'm coming from. It's nothing new at all. But truth of the matter is, let's just see how far this thing goes. All right. Oh, speaking. I know today is the 13th. It is the 2nd anniversary of the horrific events that happened in Paris at that concert hall. And I still say today it's a New World Order agenda. Prove me wrong, please, if you can. But this came out yesterday. It's from France 24. Isabel Emmons shared this. And this one's entitled, Turkey Denies Offering Money for U.S. Extradition to Ecuadorian Rival. Turkey has rejected a ludicrous allegation that offered millions of dollars to the United States to extradite a political rival to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The U.S. media report that investigators in Washington are probing whether former White House National Security Advisor Michael Flynn discussed expelling Muslim preacher Fethullah Gulen in exchange for a secret payout. Agora blames Gulen's movement for the July 15, 2016 failed coup attempt against Erdogan and has pressed for his extradition from the United States, where he has lived since 1999. Gulen, who has a large Turkish following, certainly denies the charges. All the allegations that Turkey will resort to mean external the rule of law for his extradition are all false, ludicrous, and groundless. Turkey's embassy in Washington said on Twitter Saturday. NBC and the Wall Street Journal said Friday that U.S. Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller is examining meeting Flynn that senior Turkish officials after weeks after Donald Trump won the presidential race last year. Meeting allegedly discussed a secret payout up to $15 million if once in office. Flynn would engineer the deportation to Turkey of Gulen, as well as help to free Erdogan-linked Iranian-Turkish businessman Renee Zarrab from prison. NBC and the Journal both cited multiple people familiar with the probe by Mueller, who is leading the investigation into whether Trump's campaign colluded with Russian meddling in the election. The Journal said it is not clear how the proposal went, and there are no signs that any payments were made. Lawyers for Flynn have labeled the allegations outrageous and false, according to the reports. The discussions included details how Gulen could be flown secretly by private jet to the isolated Turkish prison island in Marali. It's interesting there because there was a lot of reports that Mueller was actually trying to protect Gulen. And according to Isabel Emmons, she made a statement about the tuna interview about how Mr. Flynn blew the whistle. So the whole thing was, so far I can say this, believe it or not, Flynn is a registered Democrat too. So, and he blew the whistle on what's going on with defense when he was involved running the Defense Intelligence Agency in the Obama administration, and of course they ousted him. So when Trump got brought him back in, we're trying to gun for him. Now they're talking about going for his brother as well. But the whole thing is a lot of cloak and dagger going on. And I know one thing for sure about Mueller. He's not more than a piece of treasonous garbage anyway. He needs to step down for being a hypocrite. You want to protect Gulen, but you want to condemn Flynn. Yeah, he is nothing more than a corrupt parasite, a treasonous quack. I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if his idol, if he has an inflatable sex doll of J. Edgar Hoover, for all I know. Allegedly speaking, to be very sincere. One thing is for sure, it's a lot bigger than what it is. And they're even going after Mr. Michael Flynn's brother as well. They're going to be doing on here, I'm going to be getting an interview with Isabel Emmons that was done on the 9th of November on the Alex Jones show. And it's very interesting, yeah. And I think I have it right. Let me see here. So I think I have it right here. One moment. But I'm just trying to, I'll be right back. Stay tuned. Cool. So that's going to be added on there. And let's hit this next one. This is a little short and sweet. It's from Giants and Dips, antiwar.com. Actually, I got this from Blacklisted News. It says here, report, post 9/11 war debt will cost us $8 trillion in interest alone. The cost of America's global war on terror has yet to be reckoned with, and there's a very good reason for that. By and large, the U.S. has not been paying for all these wars, but rather has been borrowing to pay for the conflict. In the long run, that's going to be expensive. Paying off the war is going to mean paying the prices of the conflict, but the massive interest accused in borrowing and the cost of those wars. A report suggests that just interest and all debt will, over the course of decades of servicing it, can cost an estimate $8 million. So far, they say the U.S. has paid $534 billion in overseas contingency operations interest. And that's just the debt already accrued. America's assorted wars show no sign of ending, and indeed the Pentagon has been pretty clear about the U.S. deployment in Iraq being a permanent thing. When the government talks about the cost of the terror war, they generally limit their reckoning to specific costs of overseas operations, and yet a veteran cost will doubtless dwarf that, and an interest on top of it will swell the final cost to even higher levels. The question of whether America can afford all this, of course, and was never addressed in the first place. Indeed, with so little of cost being paid at all, the expectation seems to be they'll just keep borrowing. And you know what? Another sham continues on the war on terror, right? Yep, the war with ourselves, I've been telling people for a long, long time. And it's a real confounded shame, my friends. And people still want to go belly up and go, as long as I got my sports, it's okay to live in a police state. Jesus would be proud, right? Spare me the moment. And another rural state of affairs. So, all right, well, I'm going to do one more here. This came out a few days ago, but it's a reprint of My Common Dreams, published on the 12th, but from Yes Magazine. It's pretty progressive, what I've read so far. But as I said, Why Science says you should be reading small independent media. While trust in corporate news has gone down over the past few years, and trust in independent media news is strong. By Joe Ellen Green Kaiser. Google, Facebook, and Twitter were hauled in front of Congress last week to explain how Russian bots were able to spread fake news on their platform. The concern is a very real one, and all these bots and fake news sites had significant impact on the 2016 election. Finding fake news, however, is not only the best way to ensure that our content ecosystem prioritizes real news. This week's groundbreaking article in Science proves that a better way to structure a media system that works for democracy is to strengthen independent media news outlets. Over a 5-year-long study published in This Week in Science, directed by Harvard professor Gary King and supported in part by Vacquel, shows that even small independent news outlets can have a dramatic effect on the content of national conversation. King, along with this now former graduate student Ben Chenier and Ariel Wright, found that with the 3 outlets write about particular major national policy topics such as jobs, the environment, or immigration. The discussion of that topic across the social media rose as much as 62.7% of the day's volume distributed over the week. Over 60% of the participant outlets were members of the Media Consortium, with the organization I direct. The Media Consortium outlets had the highest participation rates in the science studies in order: Truth Out, Indies Times, Bitch Media, the Progressive Earth Journal, Island Journal, Feminicizing, Generation Progress, Miss Magazine, and Yes Magazine. The media outlet outlets was a progressive with about 50,000 subscribers. So you can say whatever you want. All these sites have their pros and cons. So, and even Truth Out, there's a lot of stuff on Truth Out. Hey, I can say I like. You don't have to agree, but I can like. Even doesn't matter what it is. You gotta always see things a lot broader. So it's pretty cool. Individually, none of them is a New York Times or CNN. In fact, too often, philanthropic foundations refuse to support these outlets because they are too small and don't have enough impact. What this science study proves that is when independent media news outlets work together to co-publish stories on the same topic in the same week, they can have a mighty effect. We expect that independence will have a big impact on national conversations for several reasons. First, independents have strong and loyal followers who are eager to talk about the content they read and view at their favorite outlets. When Bitch, Feminizing, and Truth Out together publish stories on reproductive health, they have a social reach of over 1 million followers. But independent media followers are not just thumbs up people. They not only comment on reposts on social, but they donate to these organizations and attend events in real life. These are people who want to participate in national conversations about topics they care about, from immigration to climate change to school reform. So it makes sense that they would push those conversations on social. Second, study comes out over the past 5 years have demonstrated that collective efforts make a bigger impact than standalone efforts. When small outlets join together, they can have a larger effect larger than any of them would individually. We've seen that recently with the publication of the Panama Papers and other large-scale collaborations. Our news outlets implicitly understood those effects. Media Consortium was founded in order to build a collaborative network. In fact, when the researchers started working with us to figure out that they could randomize, it was we who suggested the experiment to be built by randomizing timing of collaborative publication. Finally, we have the faith in the American people. Yes, everyone likes a cute cat photo or a bit or salacious gossip, but people care at a very fundamental level about schools their kids attend, about their own reproductive choices, and about their communities, neighbors, and friends. The hunger for stories that impact their everyday lives, and those are the stories they will talk about and share. In fact, they will increase their share of the stories that these by 62.7% when the stories originate on outlets they trust. Trust matters on platforms that too often provide space for fake news. Increasingly, people will look at what outlets are providing them with the news. While trust in corporate news has gone down over the past few years, trust in independent news is strong. The implication of science study is simple. If we want to foster robust conversations about national policy, we need to continue to support independent news outlets. And of course, Yes Magazine is a national non-for-profit media organization that fuses powerful ideas and practical actions. So, regardless of what you think, I like it, okay? Because there's other opportunities. People can see things a lot broader and they make their own decisions. Doesn't matter what side of the paradigm you're on. But independent news media is, which I've seen it for a long time, it's happening. So I think technically it's good news. And like I said, you don't have to agree, but you have an awesome discussion with folks. And you know what? You'd be surprised how much common you have, even with these articles here as well. So don't be shy. Of course, the progressives, conservatives, all that, it's all being whitewashed, investigated, etc., whatever you want to call it. So the truth of the matter is, I think it's pretty cool, and I'm very pleased to see that people are learning and they're waking up little by little when they rely on social, like independent media and all that. And it's okay to work together. Even my podcast, I don't have any corporate funding, but you know what? I know people, some websites like from France and even the Russian Federation posting my stuff on their websites, which I thank them for that. So work as a team. That's the way it should be. But like I said, always observe responsibly and try to see everything a lot broader than what they're telling you on face value. Okay? All right. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to say something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address this. Address all your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.lifeminds.com, FutureNet.club, Pitch.com/Local3rd. I've been having a little issue with Scene.life, but hopefully that will be fixed as soon as possible. You can hit me on Gab, gab.ai, which is more like a alternative to Twitter. There's some controversy with them as well. In addition, you can email me at localluck3@gmail.com, or the ones or encrypted. LocalLuck numbers 03 at protonmail.com. All right, my friends, it's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Plus, I'd like to give a nice shout out to CG's Java Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, Suite 1 along Fort Lauderdale, Southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. Come on in, check it out. Little mom and pop facility. You won't be disappointed, okay? All right, my friends. Take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.